And Leland, AJ, I need to change my beauty shot a little bit. I've been on that one too long. Let's see. Let's go back to boom, boats and hoes. There we go. All right, y'all, welcome back in Leland Live, talking at M5 down here, still on the coast, broadcasting from the sunny weather, rainy weather coming through this weekend for Birmingham. Heavy rain on Sunday, so go to sort of plan around that as best you can as we continue on with what we're doing this afternoon. I have not spent much time at all so far on the show dealing with the Savannah Guthrie case. I needed a little bit of a break from it, but I forgot a few things when we did give it a little treatment earlier in the show. There haven't been any big developments today. You get a sense that it's not only authorities are just chasing down everything they can find, either to substantiate something they believe about the case by looking at every clue they can on the ground and going back through evidence, or to just find a clue, to find a direction. And it's hard to read the language coming from the feds right now as to whether or not they're even getting close. The other night when they did that sort of rabbit chase down to this other little town and had the wrong guy, I think it was the night before last, you got a sense they don't have a real suspect. When they say they don't have a name, they don't have a name. So no matter what the internet sleuths are saying, we haven't seen any real movement or anything substantial. What we have seen is a white tent that went up today that caused massive media speculation at Mrs. Nancy Guthrie's house. In all likelihood, that was to preserve evidence around that door. That door is where you saw that suspect meandering around and messing with the doorknob and looking weird. Not much on that today, other than some people believe they have spotted a tattoo on his wrist that might be identifying. We don't know. Now, there was another video that came out this morning, and I haven't talked about this yet, and I just saw some people even on our staff sharing this around. There was another prowler of some type, it seems, on a surveillance camera. This time it was in color and looked like an actual camera shot, not this regenerated thing, who was, I think he was trying to get into a gated area about 6.5 miles away from where Nancy Guthrie lived. Now, a lot of people found comparisons between the two. I didn't see that. When I saw it, this guy clearly has no facial hair. You can tell from the original video from the Guthrie house, that guy seemed to have probably a beard and a mustache. This guy looked to me to be clean shaven. He was carrying two backpacks, one of which didn't look much like the one we saw originally. He did have on a light colored jacket, but it wasn't buttoned up. He didn't have on a mask. It just didn't seem like the same person. Some people think they see perhaps even a weapon in the front of his pants like the other video, but that could just be a backpack strap. So I didn't get too excited about that video. And sadly, when it's nighttime, that's when the prowlers are out. The freaks come out at night. Y'all know that song. It does happen that if there's going to be crime in that whole area, there wouldn't be just one incident that night or one person out doing stuff that night. These people do take the opportunity of the cover of darkness. So now I'm not saying maybe there's a team of them. Maybe there were more than one people. Maybe there are little bands of them running around, breaking into people's homes, looking for opportunity. That could very well be the case. But that video didn't seem to produce anything that looks too much like the guy that we saw in the video that was released yesterday. Other than that, I don't think we've had any new breaks. Let me say this too, and then I'll get to these phone calls. We'll jam up on the calls between now and 6. I think TMZ is getting a little out of hand. They had a third note today, and they're not experts on vetting whether these notes are legit. And so what they do is they run to air, promote the fact that they're still in the middle of the story. It's great publicity for them. And I don't know if they're doing their due diligence to immediately turn the note over to the authorities and be quiet about it until they can vet it. And if they vet it that it's not legit or it's not serious, then it shouldn't be on the news. So in my mind, they're perpetuating hoaxes and interjecting themselves in a way that's not helpful to the public getting straight answers or the police or the feds solving this case. They're creating noise and distraction. And the reason years ago, and I thought about this morning when I heard it, well, whenever that story broke that there was a third letter, for years in the media, especially as I was coming up through this broadcast career of mine, we didn't report bomb threats. We didn't report certain things because why? If somebody called in a threat to the school and there was no bomb, the school got evacuated. We just didn't talk about it because it would create copycats. The publicity would create more publicity. Now I get we're living in the information age. There's nonstop social media, constant stream of stupidity all the time. And sometimes you've got to answer things or say there's crazy police activity in a neighborhood. Everybody in the neighborhood is going to be online talking to each other. So then you got to come out and say, what happened? Well, there was a bomb threat. So times have changed a little bit. But by that standard, it's similar to why TMZ should show some restraint right now by allowing more hoaxes to be reported that come through them that are just, I think, perpetuating more hoaxes. It's replicating itself right now, and it's not helping. None of it's been beneficial. We don't know that any of the 3 notes that they've gotten have been legit, and I really think they should show some responsibility and dial it down. They're making themselves part of the story, and think about it. If the very first note they got and the other TV stations got had really nothing to do with the actual abduction, and you could argue that they didn't because no ransom that we know of has been paid and nothing's happened. This was never part of her abduction story anyway. It was a side show that TMZ has managed to get a lot of clicks over. And I guess that's all that matters nowadays, right, kids? Just get your clicks. Do whatever, say whatever, get some clicks. That's what it's all about. Later in the show, just to do the same thing, AJ, I'm going to go shirtless because actually, no, that would probably end the show. I won't do that.
Yeah, please don't.
I'm saying that's what everybody's doing now. Clown in front of the camera and get yourself clicks. If you're in Congress, if you got a podcast, if you want to be a podcaster, if you're TMZ, everybody's just doing stunts. I'm sort of exhausted with it. All right, to the phones, like I promised. We'll start with Tom and Calera. Line 4, Tom, what's on your mind tonight? What you got?
Well, having watched this debacle for a couple of weeks now, it just exposes to me that the ineptness of the Arizona area police, along with the FBI. I don't think that woman was the target, but she was a high enough target that they could bring in certain resources, and using those resources, they could find the flaws in the system, which are many, because we're human, in finding the actual people that they're trying to get. That's my 10-hat theory for the day.
I got you, Tom. Okay, man. Yeah, a lot of criticism. Appreciate it, buddy. A lot of criticism for the local authorities. And again, I was a little duped. I was straight with y'all about that at the beginning this week. I thought that sheriff seemed to have a calm demeanor. He was doing the best he could. And now we find out, I didn't know much about his personality. He's being criticized for being a vindictive leader in his own department. He has run off talent. And for example, they said the guy that used to run the helicopter and be the pilot for some of their intelligence gathering sort of aviation components in the sheriff's department to help them on searches like this, that he fired him a while back just over some random pissing contest between 2 guys. And he did it out of ego. And this guy would have been crucial, according to other veterans in the department. And then when he showed up at the Arizona State basketball game, that was it. It was like, this guy's not serious. Now, granted, the feds had to come in there and shove him aside, but the damage was done by them because, again, they dismissed some things too early. They released the crime scene too early. They allowed the crime scene to get trampled. The feds are having to go and play cleanup. And so when you see reporting where the media keeps saying, well, they're back for the 3rd time. Well, in some cases, this is the first time that some of these searches have been done the way they're doing them with the technology they have now that the feds are driving the train. And so it has to be redone. It's almost like we lost a week because there wasn't thoroughness. Now, in fairness, local departments don't always have anywhere close to the technology or the resources or the training to do some of the way the investigative practices of the FBI. The FBI, for all the faults of that agency over the years and its leadership, particularly ground level, I'm not criticizing at all because I know too many of these guys and how sharp they are. They're some of the brightest and sharpest people involved. These guys are the best investigative agency in the world. Some would argue Israeli intelligence does pretty good investigations. There are other countries that have elite investigative units with a lot of tools. But these guys are good. They're good when they really get dialed in on it. And their expertise early on, maybe he could have worked more in cooperation with them. They didn't have a role here in the beginning. Let me just kind of establish that. Abductions and murders, those are state laws enforced by local authorities, and there was no federal case there until I believe it was the extortion attempt, which technically could qualify under wire fraud. If there's evidence that maybe this crosses state or international lines, with it being in Arizona, then there's opening for the Fed to get in there. And so they've gotten in there now, and they're having to backtrack. And in some ways, even if they find this person or persons that are involved in her death or abduction, it's going to be a more difficult case to make. The publicity is going to hurt the case. The lack of chain of custody of some of these evidence items alone, the spoilage of some of these evidence items, that blood trail, if anybody stepped on that before it was properly collected, that's going to get tossed out in any kind of court case. So not only do we not know where she is, if she's alive or who did it, when they finally figure that out, it's going to be a more difficult case for them to make. And I think the authorities that are out scrubbing the sides of the road, they all have that in mind. The U.S. Attorney's Office, if they could make a federal case, or the state DA, they're thinking about that with every step that happens now, because you got to preserve the case. Without that, you don't get justice. You get apprehension, you make an accusation, you can identify a suspect, you can take their mugshot and put them all over television, but you may not ever send them to justice in a prison system if you can't convict them. And some of that's already getting screwed up for sure. Donald is in T-Town. What's up, Donald, over there on line 1? What's up, buddy?
Hey, Leland, a long time talking to you and everything. Hope you're doing well. And
I am. Thank you.
I hope y'all gonna have a great rest of the year. The reason I'm calling is because toward the end of the Biden administration commuted some sentences of heinous criminals, of violent crime, and things like that. And found out today that that the Department of Justice the sentences were commuted. They were not released, thank God. But 6 violent criminals that Biden's administration commuted, they were trying to be moved to the Supermax prison in Colorado. Well, a federal judge has chimed in on that and blocked the move because of what they call due process. And the prisoner inmates having the ability to, quote unquote, challenge the transfer. Well, the way I look at that is those guys are in prison. They don't have rights. Their rights were forfeited when they were convicted and put in the system. And for a judge to come in and block that so that these inmates can, quote unquote, challenge the move is a little bit absurd, and it's just another example. And the judge, by the way, is a Trump appointee, by the way, just for clarification and whatever you want to call it. But the fact that the judges are getting involved is just ridiculous.
I don't agree with the judge as you described the case. I do say this, though. They do have rights, whether we like it or not. Even when you're incarcerated, there are still a myriad of rights that do protect you under our system, including civil rights. Even though you are incarcerated, you have not forfeited all your rights when you're in the system. And there are lawsuits on a daily basis filed over these same things, humane conditions, because one of the standards with which we punish people is you can't have, and this is in the Constitution, cruel and unusual punishment. So incarceration, location, conditions, all of those things are constantly challenged in our system on a regular basis, and judges have to deal with this all the time. I'm not saying the judge made the right ruling, but I'm saying they do sometimes have valid cases to make when they get a lawyer and sue over this stuff.
Well, these inmates, their crimes there's about 6 of them, and all of them are of the heinous nature. And
that doesn't change. That doesn't change the Constitution, though, and it makes us mad. I'd like them all to be put in the electric sofa. I would say we could do them 3 at a time. But the fact remains, under our system, as long as they're sitting there stewing and getting 3 meals a day, they can lawyer up and paper up and sue over anything that hurts their feelings. That's just our system.
Oh, I understand. It's just frustrating when when all they're trying to do is move inmates from one facility to another,
Exactly.
which happens every day. And a judge steps in for something like that is hard to deal with and hard to accept, in my opinion. So, but
I'm with you, Don.
nonetheless,
I get it, man.
But I appreciate the time, man, and thank you, and keep up the good work, okay?
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. That's how we noodle through stuff here on the show. Sharon and Charlene, I see all y'all getting in here. We'll give y'all a little pretty shot when we go to the break. Douglas Cooling and Heating ready to come tune you up and take care of you, not you personally, but your house, as they take care of the spring tune-up. It's warm enough for us to even think about it. Believe it or not, we'll have warm weather just around the corner, and you're going to need your air conditioning more reliably here than in the next few weeks. So go ahead and get it taken care of. You say it all the time. It's a mechanical part of your house. It has to be serviced just like your car. You got to get those things taken care of. You head off trouble. Sometimes an inexpensive part can fail and cause you an expensive problem. So have all that stuff checked up and cleaned out thoroughly with our friends over at Douglas Cooling and Heating. They'll do this for you twice a year, especially if you buy into the Douglas Care Package. They'll be doing a new install for me. I hope this year we can get my little project on track. We're going to have to add some extra air conditioning capacity. So I look forward to knowing that when that project comes, they're going to get that installed correctly and do it right. It's calldouglas.com. If you need that number anytime for emergencies or any of this routine maintenance, y'all reach out to them. Calldouglas.com. Back here in just a minute. Y'all stay tuned. Let's get back at it. 426, Leland Live, Talk 99.5. We'll jump right on the phones this segment, get a few in here before the bottom of the hour. Sharon is up first, line 4. What's up, Sharon?
Hey, Leland, how are you?
Hey, doing well.
Good. I just have a little bit of a different point of view than you did on the Waterworks drug testing.
Yeah.
First of all, they did that testing just days after they released a new company handbook, which probably talked about drug testing.
There wasn't any drug testing
they
before
did it
that?
the day after the Super Bowl. And if somebody smoked a joint,
Yeah.
a blunt nowadays, they'd call it,
Right.
watching the Super Bowl, I could care less if they come to work the next day and take my call. I could care less because I don't know. Anybody that's ever smoked pot knows it's not going to affect you the next day. It's just not like that. But it will stay in your system up to 90 days. So it could be that somebody might have smoked something 30 days ago and get fired because they tested positive. You just don't know.
Well,
but I had a water break.
Companies struggle with that. Break. Oh, go ahead, Sharon. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I had a water main break 2 days ago.
Right.
On my street. And so they had to come out and fix it. And first there was no water, and there was muddy water, and it took till the next day it finally got clean, except it was full of bubbles. But when I called to report it, I was number 44 in the queue. And my very thought was, I don't care if somebody smoked pot last night. They can come in and take my call. I have complete confidence in them being able to do that. So I just think sometimes what you do on your own time, if it's not going to really affect you the next day, who really cares? I don't.
Well, look, that a lot of folks would agree with that, Sharon, and you well reasoned your point. And I'm a live and let live guy too, but there's some disciplines, some jobs where this is a requirement, and if you want to do that, it's your right to get another job. If the employer decides they don't want a workforce that is affected by, and while you're right, you're not high for the next 90 days, but it's in your system, and there's complete medical diagnosis of how it makes people more lethargic, more forgetful. It robs you of your brain space over time. It just does. It's not it's not the devil as some people describe it. It's not a panacea either for anybody. So I think it's up to each institution or organization to decide what their drug policy is. And if you don't like it, well, don't work there. That's pretty simple to me. That's how we live and let live on the issue.
That's what it comes down to. You know, I'm not going to create any conspiracy theories about
it. That queue might move a little faster if they were on a different drug, not weed. Maybe it was, what would you get on, meth or something like that? Boy, they could get those calls taken care of.
Yeah, and I'm not even talking about hard drugs. That's a whole different
I know what you're saying. Hey, Sharon, good points. I get it. The real controversy is over them blaming it on some kind of race targeting. That's just silly. I get it. Sometimes disproportionately, you got people that like to get on the sticky icky, but come on, man, it's a drug test. Take it or don't take it. All right, y'all, 533, Leland Live, Talk 975, Crocker Moving Services, ready to help you get your things moved, whether it's a big project, and by that I mean a lot of stuff going a long way, or a smaller project, which may mean a big old thing, but it's just got to get in or out of your house. They can handle it for you. They scale their services on a regular basis, and they're really good at estimating how long it's going to take them, so you're not getting any last-minute jujitsu where what was supposed to take 2 hours is taking 8 hours. I know things can happen, but Crocker have really got it down to a science to be able to take care of your project. And look, there's a reason for that. They've got another client after you. If they book you for 2 hours, they want to move efficiently because they've got another client waiting on them. So they move to that client and get it done for you. Then you don't get any surprises. And they do it well. They know how to move difficult things around difficult corners and up difficult stairs. And they just have some of the best employees as well. Eric always says he wouldn't hire somebody and send them to your house that he wouldn't have in his own house. And he just hires really sharp folks that work hard and get it done for you. CrockerMovingServices.com. No matter if you need 2 hours or 2 days, CrockerMovingServices.com. Man, y'all are slamming the phones. I'm loving it. We'll do some more phone calls. But before we do, I got to throw this in on the Guthrie case. I just got to throw this in. So I was just talking about the other video that came out this morning of the dude creeping around 6 miles away back on February the 1st. And clearly he's bald. He doesn't have any facial hair. It can't be the same guy. But so the FBI put the picture back out today and blurred the guy's face and said they wanted to talk to this person. So what's the point of blurring the face of somebody you want the public to recognize? I don't understand that whatsoever. Maybe, okay, you could argue, well, he's not a suspect and we don't want to get sued, so let's just kind of put a little bit of info out and maybe we'll get a tip on this thing. Okay, maybe somebody got hyper sensitive and blurred the guy's face. Or maybe they know it's not him, and the minute you see the video and know that the dude doesn't look in the face or in his stature like the original Prowler, we got Prowler 1 and Prowler 2, instantly you know that's not the same person, so that it's a moot point. Maybe they blurred it just to keep the mystery going. I don't know. Why the hell did they blur his face? We need more details. It's like when they quit putting out descriptions of suspects a while back when we got into this politically sensitive zone. They wouldn't tell you if they were black or white. They got racially sensitive. So it's like, be on the lookout. What does he look like? He's just a guy. Wait a minute. We're not even sure he's a guy. We don't know what his pronouns are. It's a person. Well, can you give me something about him? No, it could be offensive, so we're not going to tell you if he's white or black or short or tall or male or female. We're just going to say, look out for a person wearing pants and a shirt. Thank you, guys. We'll get right on that. Charlene is on line 2. What's up, Charlene?
Hey, Lehman, how are you?
How you doing? Well,
good. I was calling before the Minnesota thing, and I just want to offer my 2 cents worth. And
yeah.
I am so glad. I'm so glad that the surge is leaving, and I am so glad that Tom Homan is there to calm the unrest. Someone who's professional.
Yep.
Someone who has leadership capabilities. Someone who can talk with some sense to both sides of the aisle.
He did a good job. I agree with you. He was an adult in the room. He got those sheriffs to participate where he couldn't get the governor or the mayor to work with him. He just went to the sheriffs and said, look, you're the ones that are holding folks. Turn them over to us, and we don't have to do all this. And that cooperation led to a huge de-escalation. So it makes sense for them to move that manpower somewhere else and keep whatever they normally have in Minnesota and keep going.
And I do believe that the original people did not have any type of training. They did not have any standards of operation. They did not have any processes to deal with people and with riots, different types of people. And that's where the problem is when you have absolute power from somebody. That power goes to people's heads.
Well,
and I think that's what
I think you're partially right. Some of those, but these aren't new people that just joined Homeland Security. Some of those are veteran officers with civil policing training. Almost all of them have civil police training and came from police forces. But they're dealing with an unprecedented situation where they go into this hot zone to do a job they're assigned to do, and then the local police force doesn't give them back up when there's trouble from the citizenry in this organized assault on them that was happening. These weren't protests. These were coordinated assaults on these officers, and they did not have the force, really the authority to crack down on that the way they could and execute their mission. If the local police had been doing what they're doing now, which is busting up these roadblocks and keeping that trouble down, because that's the Minnesota Police Department's job, not Homeland Security, we'd have had the same thing. We'd have had jail handovers. We'd have had peace in the streets. We wouldn't have any of that. It is unfair to characterize Homeland Security as the aggressor here when they were just there to do a job, and they did their job. The numbers are impressive, and they've moved on.
I kind of disagree with you, because when I listened to the policeman, when the young man, the nurse, got killed, he was very measured when he was speaking about, did y'all secure the crime scene? They couldn't go on the crime scene. They didn't have any cooperation or any. They could not.
Well, that's not their job. The local police don't get to investigate federal incidents. That's not how our country works. It's called the Supremacy Clause.
What I'm saying is they didn't have any cooperation at all with the Fed for whatever reason. They had
for the
mayor.
postmortem, that's true.
Nothing to do with the governor, but they did not have any cooperation with the Fed at all. That's why their gun is missing right now. They don't know where the gun is.
No, they have the gun.
Who has the chain?
There was
no chain of
Homeland Security got the gun immediately and took a picture of it and shared it to the country. It's not missing.
Missing now for the
The gun is not missing.
Okay. Anyway, let's move
Charlene,
on.
good call.
Let's
I appreciate
move on. We're not going to agree. So,
well, hold on. Let me add something to what you said though. I'm trying to give you plenty of space because I think you're making your points well. It's a two-way. It should be a two-way street on cooperation. The Minnesota officials can't, on one hand, declare themselves above federal law and a sanctuary against the federal laws of this country in a non-cooperative way where they don't come to the rescue during a riot. They don't hand over criminals that are in their possession that have detainers, and they won't cooperate. And then there's an incident, a provocative incident where these trained tacticians got out, including, you call him a nurse, I call him an activist. This guy went out for weeks and tried to provoke violence. There's a video where he demanded that they arrest him or shoot him. He was begging for them to shoot him. He finally gets shot. And now suddenly we've got this standard that the Minnesota authorities, who for up until that point were staying out of the violence, now they want to investigate it after they played a role by not playing a role.
Shouldn't they investigate it?
It's a federal case if it involves. It's a federal case if it involves a federal officer, and the feds are investigating. They've got multiple agencies. The FBI wasn't on that scene. That's a whole separate agency. They're going to come in and vet this out, and there'll be a trial. I bet there'll be a civil suit. There'll be an investigation.
We're going to agree to disagree. However, the only other thing I wanted to say also, I haven't heard you say anything about Pam Bondi in her in the way that she was carrying herself at this thing that she was at, the meetings that she was at with Congress.
What, the hearing yesterday?
She was very rude. It was rudeness of her on both sides, but she was
not they were all rude
at all. She wouldn't answer not one question, and then she would be so.
I didn't really hear her getting questions. I heard her getting lectured. She wasn't getting questions.
No,
that was a ridiculous, childish congressional hearing that wasn't designed to get questions answered. Charlene, I used to work for Congress. I used to work for Congress.
As far as a professional, she did not carry herself in a professional, adult way as a leader in this country. And also, I haven't heard you talk about.
Well, hold on, Charlene. Are you taking notes on the show every day? Do you?
No, I am because I love listening to you.
Well, I'm glad you do. I love you listening to us.
99.5, and I just
all right.
And I have to say this too before I go. Trump is losing his cognitive mind. The man is breathing heavy. The man
he's getting old.
Himself.
He's slowing down.
He can't complete his sentences.
Oh, he's sharp.
He's just going down.
Look, we just watched a vegetable be in the presidency for 4 years.
That's what
Trump
I'm saying.
could run circles around that.
He got got another vegetable.
He's not a vegetable.
And nobody
Charlene,
said
that guy
anything
works
about
harder
it.
than he works more hours than any human I know
Nobody
in
said
my life.
anything. I don't care. I
You
don't
just
care.
said something. I
Nobody
just let you
was
say
saying
it.
one word about it.
I think
And
he
you
is
guys
slowing
been
down.
on Biden forever.
Well, look, Charlene, I do think
Please
today
just be
he sounded
honest.
a little more tired. He's almost 80. I'll probably sound like that too
And the
if
man
I'm still out in
he was
public.
going to sleep standing up.
All right, hold on. Let's go back to Pam Bondi.
About it.
Charlene, listen to me.
Nobody said anything about it.
You just did.
But
I'll
anyway,
let you say it
that's
on the radio.
That's all I got to say.
No, you
That's
can't
all right.
run. You can't come here and throw rocks and run off like that. Don't be a coward.
I'm
Stay
not
with me.
running.
Hang
I'm
on,
through.
Charlene. Pam, you're not going to get me to defend Pam Bondi. I'm not a fan of hers. I wish she'd be replaced.
But what about Trump and his cognitive decline?
But he's not having any cognitive decline. That guy's running circles around anybody that's been president in the last 40 years.
I doubt it.
He does
Stephen
more
Miller,
news conferences.
Stephen Miller and Steve Bannon are running this
You
country.
just look. I get it. You don't like Trump, but you're wrong on that. That guy's stamina is stunning. He is more in the public, in front of the cameras, answering questions, tweeting all night. He flies across the world, does a peace deal, and flies back and does a news conference. All right, thank you, Charlene. You lose on that one. If I had a gong, I would gong Charlene's ass completely off the show because she's wrong on that part. But she's right on Pam Bondi. That was kind of a spectacle, but that's what Congress is. It's a bunch of childish adults and people that probably shouldn't be in power whatsoever. Not all of them, but quite a few, especially all the D's. Lord, country philosopher. I think we can get one more in here and then we'll keep going. Country philosopher, what's up, buddy?
Hey, man. All right, I'll make a couple points. First, about this Guthrie thing, and then I'm just going to let it go. It was planned, and they knew what was going on because I'm sure she didn't stop him at the door and say, oh, hey, boys, I've got a pacemaker that can be tracked. You can go in my phone and shut that off if you want. So, whoever got that job knew that she had a pacemaker, and they knew that she had an app on her iPhone. It was planned. They knew what they were doing. And now let's talk about Charlene. Charlene, you don't want to talk about President Biden acting like a Roomba every time the mic went off and wandering around the stage. You don't want to talk about Barry smoking so many Newports that his lips were blue. You don't want to talk about all that, but you want to talk about Trump. I guarantee that Trump could work her into the ground. Yet she's got an agenda, and she's going to come on here, and she started out strong, and she camouflaged herself pretty good. But then, like all liberals, her emotions started taking over, and she started falling apart like a toilet paper bag. You know what my daddy would have said about her and the sheriff that's handling this Guthrie case? Neither one of them could scratch their rear end with a handful of fish hooks.
There it
and
is.
that's all I got to say. God bless you, man.
That's how you do a radio call right there. You just drop the mic and get on out of here. Look, I like Charlene. I like the tone in her voice. I like the way she's kind. We disagree. That's fine. She'll say that. I like it when she calls in. She did wrong, and that's why I like it the most because, look, some of her points are valid, y'all. It's valid. I do think Trump's slowing down. I noticed it today, and I played a clip earlier. He sounded a little more slurry, but in that, to be expected. And if he slowed down, if Trump slowed down to half speed from where he's been in the last year, he'd still outwork every president that's been around probably since I can't think of an active president. I mean, Bill Clinton took enormous time off. So did Obama. Reagan was known for sleeping. I loved Reagan. I loved Ronald Reagan. I worshiped that guy growing up. You know what he used to say about his naps? Reagan would say, because he was funny, he was a good communicator. He was the great communicator. He would say, they say hard work never killed a man, but I say, why take the chance? And everybody laughed. Reagan laughed at his age and himself, but he did not work the hours that Trump works. He did not have constant, unfiltered exposure to the country 24/7. This dude will walk in front of a bank of cameras and take all questions at all times about anything. And you may not like the answer, but you got to give him credit that he'll stand there and give you an answer. And we did not see that. We had a basement vegetable. And then before that, what in the hell was all that? I mean, I know Trump won, but even Trump 2 is outworking Trump 1. The second term is amazing. You cannot score any points on this show on the stamina issue. It might be your wish, just like you wished he was on the Epstein files. You wish he wasn't a whistleblower. You wish he was you wish he was the Bill Gates of the Epstein files, but he wasn't. You wish that the Russian P-tape was true. That wasn't true. You wish that they had classified documents at Mar-a-Lago that were a national threat. That was phony. You wish all these things happened. You wish he got on a horse and rode his troops into the Capitol on January 6th, which he didn't do. You keep wishing these things. How about this? He ain't president but about another 3 years. You better get some focus. Y'all ain't even got a damn candidate. You don't have one person of stature on the other side ready to run for president. None. You'll still be competitive because the country's half full of morons and lazy people who watch The View. But there's that. 545-9950 is the phone number if you want to get on the radio show right back after this from sunny South Florida. And Alabama Bass bringing you the show tonight. Man, you know, the bathroom is a place where a lot of accidents happen in the home. In the kitchen, it's fires. In the bathrooms, in our homes, it's slip and falls. And it can be a dangerous place. Some of y'all might have had an incident. I had this not too long ago. You step in there and you slide a little bit and you're like, whoa, I almost lost touch with gravity for a second. And then there's a lot of dangerous stuff to fall onto. The faucets and the fixtures, that can be super dangerous. And it can happen to anybody. We had a child in our family about this time last year, I think it was, that fell and hit her little head. And man, it just scared us all to death. So if you're aging in place or getting a little older with other parts of your life, or somebody in your family's like that, or going through some things where you've lost some mobility and you need an easier way to get refreshed every day, y'all reach out to Alabama Bass. They've just got the product to help you with that stage of life. So you got your independence and your freedom right there in your own home. For some, that means taking out that old tub and putting in a stand-up walk-in system, low-rise, slip-proof surfaces, all the things you need. Or sometimes you want to keep your tub. You still like a soak, but they've got tub options for you with the walk-in tubs where you shut the door and fill her up, or just a straight tub replacement just to freshen up in there. Any of this stuff, Alabama Baths can get done for you in 2 days. And what I love about them, too, is that they're good local folks. Mike Alone, the owner, has been doing this stuff for 40-plus years. I used to say 40 years. It's 4 decades of doing these projects and taking care of people. So they're not going to overprice you and put any pressure on you. They're just going to give you a nice bid to get your project done and honor that whenever you're ready to go and get it done for you. Make your bathroom beautiful again. Reach out to them for any of these projects. It's alabamabaths.com, alabamabaths.com. I was kidding around after Charlene's call and said I wanted a gong so I could gong her. AJ, I know I could use the sound effect, but I was talking about like a physical gong. And then guess what? Gary Asher sends me a picture, and of course he sells gongs. He sells all the drums and the gongs. He could get me a gong. I think he gave me a little tiny one time. Look, it just doesn't have the same effect as the big giant Chinese one, like in the restaurant. Just whang.
It goes bing.
Did you remember the Gong Show? I cannot believe, of all the things people keep bringing back on television, why have they not brought the Gong Show back? That was so good.
Yeah,
that show was awesome.
Yeah, but it would hurt people's feelings. We're living a sensitive day and age.
They kick them off American Idol with, we got the British guy insulting the hell out of them. I'd rather be gone.
Yeah, but they softened that up even more now.
Well, have they? I haven't watched all that stuff in a while.
I mean, if William Hung can have a record career, you know what I'm saying?
Hey, check this out. So, DoorDash driver got arrested. I just saw this clip. DoorDash driver gets arrested, but the popo, after they arrested him, wanted to make sure the dude he was delivering to got his food. So they showed up. They showed up and said, "Here's your food."
Your DoorDash driver got arrested, so we want to make sure you got the food still.
Or that's the way to go. That happens. Oh, man, I was going to make a joke about the Waterworks drug testing with that, but I think I'll let that be. Y'all, that story, that's going to have legs because, I mean, again, back to that story, it comes down to whatever your standards are. I mean, think about it in your life. What professions are you cool with the person that's taking care of you being high as the grocery bill? You know what I'm saying? Because there's some people that are functional pot smokers. They do it all day long. The guy doing your putting your legal case together probably blazes like a dragon at night and gets up and wake and bakes in the morning and still is able to go and do your legal work. Some people think it clears their mind. But people working in public at a public institution like that, I mean, it's already dysfunctional enough when you have to go down to the Waterworks board and take a number and sit there with all those people over an essential thing that you got to have in your life. No, I don't want them high. My DoorDash guy, I don't care. Bring my food, don't eat it. Oh, is that off limits too? What all is off limits? My brain surgeon? No. I want the best. I don't want a DEI brain surgeon. I don't want a high brain surgeon. I want the best in his class. I want the guy with the good reputation. I ain't even going to read Yelp about it either. I'm just going to find the best. There's some people in life that are critical and some not so much. TSA workers, are you cool with them being high? Anybody? Class? Hell no. There's some places we want people to be clear-headed and up to the task. Bob is on a cell phone. What's up, Bob?
Hey, bud. I just couldn't get in on the conversation earlier in the week about AI.
Yeah.
So I wanted to pass this thought on to you. Everybody's talking about, legal stuff and medical stuff. Here's the one that really intrigues me. As a civilization, we've probably got about 100 years left because that's when we'll run out of petroleum products. Our entire civilization is based on energy, and that comes from petroleum. What I hope they figure out with AI is how to take the human factor out of screw-ups with nuclear reactors and stuff, but real importantly would be to come up with another complete energy source like coal fusion, something that was much safer and didn't have all the problems associated with it. I just thought I'd pass that on for you to noodle around in your brain.
Well, there's some heavy stuff this afternoon, Bob. Yeah, cold fusion is the future. If they ever make that practical and doable, especially on a small scale, Some people have this concept. I was doing some reading about this a couple months ago of these mini fusion reactors. In other words, you'd almost have a suitcase-sized cold fusion reactor that would attach to a property, and you wouldn't even have to have all these distribution lines. It could produce that kind of energy locally and be much better managed and last forever. But that's still theoretical right now. But it would be a lot better to have that for sure.
Well, it fell down many years ago with the Atomic Energy Commission. They had up in the Idaho facility, they had what they called the TAN facility.
Yep.
And what they were trying to do was come up with a nuclear-powered airplane.
That did not work.
So,
it
did not work. You know, the
Bob,
Army's been, what?
Got to go, man.
Oh, you got to go. See, brother.
Yep. All right. See, there's Bob tonight. Man, y'all are killing it on the phones. Good stuff. That's the way to go. Little interactive radio. Back after this, 545-9950 as the sun goes down over the water. We'll be back for one more hour. Y'all stay tuned.